Happy Monday to you all. This is Martin Williams, Playbook Radio. I am in my car recording this as I get ready to start the workday. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals. And first, congratulations to New York Knicks for winning their first championship in 53 years, which is crazy to even think about for such a major market team. But they did it, and they deserve the credit and the praise, and the city is excited, and great parade will happen here, I believe, this coming Thursday. But anyway, it's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about what happens when mindset meets up with talent. And in the context of the New York Knicks and the NBA Finals, the San Antonio Spurs were the more talented team. They're a younger team, and they had talent, much more talent, especially in the first five players, with the first five players. Victor Wembanyama is widely regarded as the NBA's next superstar. He's an excellent player. And then Dylan Harper, who's a rookie, is probably going to be right there with Wembanyama. He was excellent in this series, has a ton of talent. And then also, there's other players on the team who are exceptionally talented as well. So on a talent level, the Spurs win over the Knicks hands down. But that's not what happens in the games. And what ended up happening is that the Knicks, who were down an estimated 70% of the series, when you look at the actual game minutes, they were down in score, but because they were able to finish and play with a level of intensity for a specific period of time towards the end of the game, they were able to win 4 games, which is all you have to do. You don't have to be the better team. A lot of people say, well, the team that won is the better team, and that's not always the case. In fact, it is often not the case. The Knicks didn't have to be the better team. They just had to score more points than the San Antonio Spurs when the game ended. And for me, there's a lot of lessons from a mindset perspective that you can pull from the series. But the one that comes to mind as of right this minute is that the New York Knicks had a more focused, a more anchored, and a more urgent mindset than San Antonio did. And that is why they won. This is not to say that the San Antonio Spurs did not have the necessary mindset to win. I'm just saying that the New York Knicks, if we're measuring levels, they just had a greater mindset when it comes to winning versus what San Antonio had. What I could tell from the New York Knicks was a sense of urgency. They knew that in many cases, this was probably their best chance to win a title. They made it to the finals. They're in the final series. And there's never a guarantee that you're going to make it back ever again. So they had that sense of urgency, and they knew that they had to make this one count. Because if they don't, then it'll just be years and years of regret of what could have been had they just finished the job. San Antonio, to me, they were happy to be there. And they should have been, because they were a young team. They were ahead of schedule. No one really expected them to win the conference finals and get to the finals this soon. But the New York Knicks were not just happy to be there. They were there to win. And that's why they won. In life, it's not always the most talented people. There are a lot of very talented people who are homeless or living at home or struggling to make ends meet, don't have any opportunities waiting for them. This happens all the time. There are very intelligent people who are working jobs that they don't want to work, doing things that they don't want to do, versus people who aren't as educated, aren't as articulate, aren't as gifted in certain things, but they've made a career, they've created a life for themselves that the average person would envy. What is the difference between the super talented people who are struggling and the lesser talented people who are winning? And what I could find is that the difference is mindset. People who succeed on a consistent basis, they have a belief and they have a knowing and they have an urgency. And what I know from my own life is that urgency is a gift because it forces you not to waste time. It forces you to take advantage of opportunities. It forces you to do the most with what you have. When you don't have urgency, you think, well, I have time. You think, well, I have another opportunity. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it next week. I can do it next month. But when you continue to do that, oftentimes things don't get done at all, or they get done much later than they should have gotten done. And on a macro scale, you live a mediocre life, even though you have the potential to live an extraordinary one. People who have less talent tend to maximize that talent. They tend to maximize their knowledge because they know that they don't really have as much talent as maybe the next person. Maybe they're not, or they feel that, I'm not as good looking, or I'm not as fit, or I'm not as well spoken as that person. So I have to do what I know how to do, and I have to do it well in order to have an opportunity. There's something about scarcity that gives people an edge because they know that they have to make the most of what they have. People who have abundance oftentimes are more wasteful because in their mind, I got a lot and there's more where that came from. And there's nothing wrong with having an abundant mindset. There's nothing wrong with, you know, believing in abundance. But the trip up with abundant thinking and abundant people sometimes, like I said, is that they can be awfully wasteful instead of understanding that every dollar that I have should be put to good use. But when mindset meets up with talent, and when talent is not locked in, when mindset meets up with talent and talent's not locked in, mindset will win 100% of the time. And that's what happened with the Knicks. So if you're someone that maybe you're not living up to your potential, start locking in, start getting serious, start focusing on your goals, on your work, on your craft. So you can start to enjoy the things and enjoy the rewards that are available to you if you just learn to lock in. So thanks so much for listening. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I'll talk to you soon.